super excited about what we have going on. Again, Tommy School, your host, www.sporthotpicks.com, and we're super excited to have you here with us today. All right, so today we're going to go over a couple of things that really are happening around the league and also things that are really starting to trend throughout there. What we have been able to find is the NBA and NHL are coming down to the end of their season, so a lot of fun stuff happening there. And we're going to go over some of that information on the NBA side as far as what's happening with the favorites and the over-unders and things like that. But before we get started, let's just go over some stats here. Yesterday, the dogs were barking in the NBA. They covered the spread all 6 games. The Spurs were +7, Warriors +2, Wizards +8, Cavs +9.5, Pelicans +10, and the Rockets +15. Now, straight up, the favorites went 4-2, but against the spread, the dogs were barking. So what that does is that really brings it back into perspective here as far as total against the spread. The favorites still are ahead at 487 to 477, which is 50.52%. Of course, that's not all the games because we had some pushes in there and things like that have happened. The over-unders, the overs went 4-2 yesterday, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second as our education minute comes up. Now, with the NHL, the favorites went 6-3 yesterday, which brought that to 51.4%. That includes the Avs being a road favorite when it closed last night to win 2-1, and a big-time matchup of future playoff teams that will be fighting for the Stanley Cup. Yesterday, the under 7-2, it's starting to look a lot more like playoff hockey, which is super, super exciting, which brings the over-unders overall for the season to 51.2%. And the first period unders, it actually was 4-5. So the overs went 5-4 yesterday in the first period, but the first period unders still dominating at 51.28%. The dogs that covered yesterday were the Predators +130, the Oilers -105, and the Canucks at +145. Major League Baseball, only 5 games yesterday, so not a lot to cover here. The favorites went 3-2, bringing it to 53.65% for the favorites, and the unders went 4-1, which brings the unders to just barely over 50% at 50.2%. The dogs that covered were the O's at +120 and the Angels +160. And we did have the Orioles on that +120 in our paid picks. So as we go into our next segment, let's go over the picks that didn't make the cut. So the picks that didn't make the cut, here are some fun ones out there for you. The A's, a very popular team right now, playing extremely well. They were a pick of ours also yesterday. They beat the Red Sox yesterday. And again today, they started at +116. You can see the money coming in on them as now they're +114. All the pros are on the A's. However, because of the weather out there, we didn't feel comfortable in putting this into one of our paid picks. However, in Major League Baseball, we do have 2 paid picks there. All right. Also, the Royals -120 versus the Tigers. Both the public and the pros are on the Royals. This opened up at pretty much a pick 'em initially, but since the money's been coming in, you might have to lay a little bit of wood getting above that -120 mark. So that's why we didn't want to recommend that at this time as we release our picks. Due to we want to wait for roster moves and everything else like that. We're putting this out right before the East Coast games start and that type of stuff. All right, so Another one, Mets minus 135 is now up to minus 145. The public is all over the Orioles after the pitcher who's starting tonight will be the same guy that threw the no-hitter just the other day. So needless to say, very, very big time movement that way on the Orioles. And one of the picks that has already started, we didn't get this out in time, was San Francisco on the money line, laying 158. It opened at 140 at that time, but they are currently ahead when we started this video broadcast at 2-1 there. All right, NBA missed the cuts. Nugs Hornets over 223. When this first opened up, it was at 220. It's at 223.5 now, which means it increased 1.5. We would say continue to take that over. If you're serious about thinking of it, the Nuggets are a very efficient team, high scoring percentage and that type of stuff. The Hornets being a fast-paced team and the Nuggets not being great with transition, we see a lot of opportunity there for points to be scored. The Celtics versus the Heat. When this opened up, it was the Heat minus 1.5, went up to -2, bounced all the way down to -1. The Heat, this is a big game for them. And if the Heat win and they get some help, they can end up in that number 4 slot and really move up in the NBA East there. And also, the Celtics took a huge gut punch, losing Jaylen Brown out for the rest of the season. They got that news last night, so not sure how they're going to really recover from that. And we just think that the Heat have that opportunity here. Last one, Suns and Warriors is the West Coast. Over 230, we felt that number was right on there, and we've seen some pushes with the Warriors before. But if we were to lean one way or another, we would take the Warriors and Suns over 230. We do have 3 NBA picks for you tonight on our paid pick section. So remember, our paid pick section, you get all of them for $9.99. It's not just today. It's not a fee for just today. It's for the entire month. We're averaging about 7 picks per day, which brings your cost down to about 4 cents per pick. Now, when we're talking about this, and we're hitting it over 61% so far since we began this service, you are cashing with us. And we're putting our money out there as well. And at www.sporthotpicks.com, it's a single-click registration and very, very easy to do. And that monthly fee is a reoccurring at $9.99. And if you have been betting with us from the very beginning, you would have gotten a total of, let me pull the right sheet up here. You would have got a total of 530 picks since we started this back in March. You would be paying a total of 6 cents per pick, but in March it was 4 cents per pick at 234 picks. In April, we were at 233 picks, 4 cents per pick. And so far in this month, we already are at 70 picks, which is averaging 7 picks a day. That's 14 cents a pick. But that's if you stopped playing our picks as of yesterday, the 10th. All right. So with that being said, let's move into the NHL and the cut picks. We got only two games in the NHL tonight, but there's big games coming up tomorrow with a lot of playoff implications, and we want to make sure that we are studying those deep. We do have one pick for you tonight on the paid side, but we also looked at the Bruins game here, and we think that as long as the over-under stays at that 5.5, we slightly lean to the over in that game. And then the Canucks and Jets. The Canucks opened at 140. They're all the way up to 164. People are laying a lot of wood toward the Jets, who opened at negative 165, and now they're at negative 196. So a lot of money going toward the Jets. where we've seen them before. Big playoff positioning game here for them tonight. They do have some games remaining against Toronto, so if they don't win this game, they're not totally blown out of the water. But it could really affect them if they don't make that transition here tonight and get that win against the Canucks. So the Canucks continue to grow as an underdog from 140 to 164. The Jets from minus 165 to 196. We lean definitely toward the Jets in this one, but I would say if you're going to do that, make sure that you're laying a lot of money there to get back the winning that you would need to get to make this happen. All right, so again, www.sporthotpicks.com. We are going to start podcasting this on Spreaker as well, so you could go find us there at Sport Hot Picks Daily Dose. Is going to be our Spreaker channel, and we'll have that up on all the different outlets here soon enough. But what you could do to help us and Google and our YouTube rankings is go ahead and subscribe down below and get the alerts so that you can see us every day and get to learn what we're doing. But also, if you'd like to learn more about what's going on, write down in the comments there's something that we could teach you about, because that's what we're all about here. And that brings us into our lesson of the day. Our lesson of the day is right now, what's going on in the NBA is you're seeing a lot of boat races, a lot of points being scored, and this is coming because of what is happening right now with a lot of the playoff positions being set, and the teams that don't have playoff positions set are working to really run up the score, get their starters out of the game, and that sort of stuff. So we have seen an increase in the overs significantly throughout the course of this month of May. And what I mean by that is the over-unders we already talked about were at the, let me check it here again just to make sure I'm getting you the right numbers. All right, the over-unders for the NBA are right at 50.81. It used to be the unders that we're covering. But over the course of May, 43 and 34 are the overs right now. That's a 55.84%. However, if the line increases by a half a point, the average are hitting at a 69.11% in May. So overs are cashing at an increased rate of 6.10% over this exact same time last month. So why this has happened is teams are tanking, playoff teams, they're working toward their seeding as we talked. Teams are trying to make it out of that tournament, play-in tournament, or also just trying to make it in that playoff tournament. Plus, if you think of it like this, the turnaround from the time that they were in the bubble to the time that they are now playing again, there's a lot of fatigue going on. So needless to say, there's a lot happening. So if you're leaning unders, overs, make sure you really look at it and pay attention to these numbers in May, that those overs are really starting to come through. All right, so I am Tommy School. That is your www.sporthotpicks daily dose, along with everybody around here with over 70 years of experience. We're at a 61.10% since we started this service, and we're looking to help you make money. And I am super excited to have you. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you soon.